Baruchim Aboyim, welcome, Yeshiva Space David, Tovshin Pei Aleph 2021. It's extremely exciting to see all this incredible, beautiful faces, beautiful neshamas. Welcome all to Eretz Yisrael. Welcome to the new home that you now have, and welcome to the family. Baruch Hashem. It's Gavaldik. I'm very, very excited about what's going to be this year. It's going to be the most incredible year of your lives without any shiloh whatsoever. You're not only in Eretz Yisrael and Yerushalayim, which are the most incredible places in the world. You are obviously in the most incredible yeshiva in the world, also Baruch Hashem, and it's Baruch Hashem. We thank the Rabbeinu Shalom for allowing all of you to come back, be here, enter into the country, and be able to have an incredible year ahead. B'siyata d'shmaya. So I'd like to discuss a little bit of an inyan before we move on to the idea of the yeshiva and what it entails. To talk a little bit about where we're holding Shiur Pesicah. It's Elul after all. I have to understand a little bit of what this means. So there he is. This guy was nifter from this world. He left this world and he's up in Shomayim, in the Beis Din Shel Ma'ala, awaiting for the judgment. And there's a line. That's how it works. There's a line and he's waiting to be judged. Right? He was an older man. He lived many years in this world. And he's waiting for his final judgment. And all of a sudden, a younger fellow, much younger than him, who lived many less years in this world, pushed in the line and got in front. And he's like, excuse me, that's not how it works over here. This is Shomayim. You can't just push in. It has to be MS. You can't just... So they explained to him that it's not about how many years you spent in this world. It's about what you did with that time that you had in this world. And therefore, yes, you could live many, many years. But if you weren't productive, if you didn't produce, if you didn't actually do anything, so then what's it worth? You know, I don't know if you've been around, but you probably haven't because you're in quarantine. So if you notice that many of the shops, many of the stores outside of the makolets have this box squashing machine. You ever saw it? I don't know, it's amazing. I don't know if they probably have it in America also. They have it in America also? Wow, came to America, Gavaldik. Baruch Hashem. So they have this machine which you've seen, and they take these big boxes, a big fancy geschmacker box, they put in the machine, boom, 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 it's much flat, it's run to nothing. There it was, this huge box, turns into nothing. It turns into a little flat little thing. Why? Because at the end of the day, it's all about what you're made of. It's all about what you did with the time. Torah tells us, V'Avram ba bayomim. Avram Avinu came with his days. The Mefarshim ask, what does it mean he came with his days? He was a zaken, he was an old person who came with his ba bayomim, came with his days. The answer is, say the Mefarshim, that a person can be an older person. But it doesn't mean you come with your days. It doesn't mean you actually produce. It doesn't mean you did something. What I want to spend is a few minutes to understand exactly what this means. Let's try and make the most of our year in Eretz Yisrael. Can you imagine? A wealthy guy comes over to you and says, listen, I've got a great present for you. $1 million cash. It's all in notes, beautiful, fresh notes in a briefcase. I'm giving it to you. Do whatever you want with it. Spend however much you want. But just give me the change. Whatever's left over, just give me. We're like, yeah. Okay. That's, maybe there'll be some like agarot or, some cents at the bottom of the briefcase afterwards. There's not going to be anything left, right? I'm sure in our minds like, I know exactly what I would do with the money. I've got a few things I need to buy and places that I have to go. We've all got... Can you imagine if you take this briefcase of money and you go to the candy store and you buy a lollipop? Well, it's nice. Schmack to have a lollipop, no? You buy a lollipop, take one note, you buy the lollipop, and you put the change in the briefcase, and you give the rich man back the rest of the money. Thank you. I enjoyed my day. I had a lollipop. It's been great. It's very sweet. It was delicious. It was really, really nice. Shaita! You're a fool! How do you do such a thing? You have $1 million cash, and that's what you do. Rabbi Isai, our lives are worth unimaginable amounts more than that. And sometimes we take the beautiful neshama that the Rabbeinu Shalom gave us, and we buy a lollipop because it's sweet and it's nice and it's geschmack, and we give the Rabbeinu Shalom back the neshama and say, thank you very much, we had a great time in this world. What a shame that would be. What a shame that would be if we did the same mistake as that person. You know, we have so much potential. Take an apple seed. I've said this Moshe before, but it's so incredible. Take an apple seed, a small black seed that you have in the apple. If you would plant that seed and allow it to grow into a tree, then it would produce more apples. Now take every one of the black seeds that are in all the apples of that tree, plant them. If you do that a couple more times, you will eventually have enough apples to feed planet Earth. That's incredible. From one tiny black seed. So it all began. Rabbi say, the potential that every single one of us have is unbelievable. And there's a reason that you came here. There's a reason that you came here is to take that potential, to take that which you have, and to use it, to discover it, to develop it, and make it better. Shiur Pesicah writes, Parshas B'Shalach, V'aminu ba'Hashem u'b'Moshe avdoi, says Shiur Pesicah in Lublin, can I read you the Lashon? Kishem shetzorich odom lahamim ba'Kadosh Baruch Hu. There's an obligation for everyone to believe in the Rabbeinu Shalom. We have to believe in Hashem. Just like we have an obligation to believe in Hashem, kach tzorich achakach lahamim ba'atzmai. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in what you can do, in what you can accomplish. And every single person in this room can accomplish the world. Little do you know, you can ask the second year boys, the third year boys. I never imagined being here for 2 years, for 3 years, accomplishing what I did. It's unbelievable. The world is yours. It's ready. Like the Rambam says in Hilchas Talmud Torah. Torah is munach. It's here, it's waiting. Call me shiraitze yavo v'yitol. If you want it, just take it. The problem is, we get distracted. We're human beings, we get distracted. Probably one of the most famous mishalim that we're familiar with. You know, some of the people say that. This one's like a famous Gemara. This one's a famous story. This one everyone knows. This is no shaila. Some person did something to help the king. And the king says to him, I owe you so much. You're going to come into my treasure house and you're going to take whatever you want. You have 1 hour. Take a shopping cart. Just go through the aisles, just pick up whatever you want. There's gold bars there, there's cash, whatever you want, no problem. An hour in the king's treasure house, can you imagine what that is? That's incredible, that's unbelievable. He's already planning how to spend the money. And he gets there and he's waiting because he knows exactly the time they're going to open the door of the king's treasure house. And they open the door, and as they open the door, he's there with his cart, he's ready to go in. And the band begins to play. It's not just the band, right? It's like what they have in all the American choppers. And I know the Chosman Kala who looked over and said, look at that band. You know, 14-piece band with all different singers and everything. He was mesmerized. Wow, this is so geschmack. This is so beautiful. I need to hear this music. And he's just standing there, mesmerized. Wow, this is amazing. And he doesn't realize that the moments are ticking away. Until eventually the guard says to him, excuse me, sir, you have 4.5 minutes left to go. 4.5 minutes left to go, and he starts running through, and it takes time that he actually gets inside, and he manages to hop a couple of things, and he has to run out. The nimshal is so obvious. We're in this world, we can accomplish so much. We could do so much. The yeshiva is here for you. You have the most incredible rebbeim, most unbelievable shiurim. There's so much on offer. Take advantage of it. Use every moment of it. If you don't, then you'll be no worse or a lot worse than that person in the story. That you had the opportunity, but you never actually did it. And let me just end with one gewaltige Moshel from the Chofetz Chaim. The Pasuk says in Pirkei Avos, Kachi Darka Shel Torah, what is the Mahalach of Torah? Pas b'melech toichal, u'b'mayim, b'msur tishte v'al haaretz tishon. Similar to how you basically have your mattresses in yeshiva and the food that they serve you here in yeshiva. Same idea. Bit of bread, bit of water, sit on the floor, you know, what is it already? What, we need new mattresses? Seriously? Come on. It's yeshiva after all, right? Anyway, you sit and you schwitz and you hurva b'Torah. If you do it, ashrecha v'toivlach. Ashrecha ba'olam hazeh, v'toivlach ba'olam haba. Well, not only will you have a geschmack in this world, you'll have a tremendous geschmack also in the next world. The Chofetz Chaim asks the question on the Mishnah. And he asks, why did the Mishnah have to tell us, and if you do it? What are you telling me? What's the Hisofa, what's the addition that the Mishnah is telling us? The Chofetz Chaim answered with a mashal, which is a very important mashal, and he said like this. There was a king, as every mashal has to begin, that was at war with neighboring cities. And at one point, the war got a little bit tough, and he was on the losing end. He felt he had to leave the palace. And he ran out with all of his robes and everything. He ran out of the palace. And they managed to take him to some poor guy in the middle of the forest. He had some house. And he said, I beg of you, hide me. And if you hide me and I survive, I will repay you with as many riches as you want. So this poor guy says, sure, the king is here. You want to be here? No problem. And he looks for a hiding place. I can't find the right hiding place. He can't find a good place. So listen, I've got nowhere to hide you. Do me a favor, go under the bed. Okay, well, I'm saying not a great hiding place, but it's better than nothing. I'll go under the bed. So the king goes under the bed. Within about 10 minutes, the other side, the enemy, are here. They figured out where he was, or at least they thought they did, and they barged into the house and say, where's the king? I don't know what you're talking about, what king? No, we're going to search this place. Fine, no problem, go look. And there he is. This king is petrified. If they find him, he's dead, finished, it's all over. He's under the bed. And they're going from room to room, and you can hear it. And finally they entered that room. And when they enter that room, they look around. And they said, this is the last room in the house, he has to be here. Maybe he's under the bed. And he thinks, uh-oh. So they take their huge bed, they can't go on. They take their swords, and they sort of stick it in and poke from this side, from that side. Meanwhile, the king's getting scratched and, cut from here and there. But he remains quiet, he leans up to the wall. He's obviously not there. They walk out, they go. The king is safe. The king is safe. Can you imagine the happiness? The simcha, he managed. He did it. He says to the guy, come to the palace. I will reward you with any wish you want. You can ask whatever you want. I will give you whatever wish you want. So, what would you ask for? So the guy says to him as follows, Your Majesty the King, I would really like to know, how did you feel when you were under that bed and they were poking the swords in there? How did you feel? What was your thought process? What was going through your mind at that time? That's what I want. I want to know how you felt. And the king says, what a ridiculous, what a stupid, how do you say, chutzpah? You ask the king such a thing? Treason. Off with your head. You are going to be executed tomorrow. You're going to be hung at the gallows for asking the king such a question. Your Highness, I didn't mean it. That's not what I meant. I just wanted to ask you. No, take him away. The guards come in, they take him away. Next day, they prepared the gallows. The palace is ready. Spectators are there. The media is there. They put the noose around his head. He's crying. What did I do wrong? And the king says at that moment, okay, stop. Cut the noose. His life is to be spared. And the peasant was taken back to the king's chambers, where the king said, you wanted to know how I felt when my life was in the balance? The only way to fulfill your wish was to put you in the same situation by also feeling your life was also going to be in the balance. And that answered your question. Said the Chofetz Chaim, the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos is telling us, it's not a story. Torah is gewaldik, Torah is amazing, Torah is geschmack. We've all heard this. All right, now what? How does this affect my life? Says the Mishnah, just do it. Sit and learn, do it. Rabbi Say, you have Baruch Hashem, an incredible year ahead of you with incredible opportunities. Use those opportunities. Use the Rebbeim that are incredibly dedicated and incredibly special, each one on their own right, to be able to utilize this year to the maximum, even if it means sometimes it's a bit difficult and it's schwer and it's hard, but do it anyway. Kachi dauke shel Torah, then, says the Chofetz Chaim, the promise of the Mishnah will come true, and you'll have great time in this world and obviously in Olam Haba also. Okay, so I want to mention